Hello everyone, this is Group 2. I, Sarthak Jain, along with Yuhao and Srikant, will be presenting you guys Art of War in Cybersecurity and how Sun Tzu, know yourself and know your enemy quote aligns with risk management. First we'll go through cybersecurity and NIST. Then we'll see how NIST uses Sun Tzu strategy. Then we'll share some real world examples, and lastly we'll recommend what businesses should do. So cybersecurity and NIST. This voluntary framework consists of standards, guidelines, and the best practices to manage cybersecurity related risks. The cybersecurity framework's prioritized, flexible and cost-effective approach helps to promote the protection and resilience of critical infrastructure and other sectors important to the economy and national security. It provides guidelines for applying the risk management framework and include conducting the activities of cybersecurity categorization, security control selection and implementation, security control assessment, information system authorization, and security control monitoring. The NIST cybersecurity framework is organized into 5 core functions, also known as framework core. First is identity. It says develop the organizational understanding to manage the cybersecurity risk to systems, assets, data, and capabilities. The second is protect. Develop and implement the appropriate safeguards to ensure the delivery of critical infrastructure services. Third, the detect. It says develop and implement the appropriate activity to identify the occurrence of a security event. Fourthly, respond. Develop and implement the appropriate activities when facing a detected security event. And lastly is recover. It says develop and implement the appropriate activities for resilience and to restore any capabilities or services that may have impaired due to a security event. So using the NIST cybersecurity framework, it is a great way to standardize your cybersecurity and risk management. It can also be used when your organization needs to benchmark its current security operation. The cybersecurity world has a problem, and it's incredibly fragmented despite its ever-growing importance to daily business operations. NIST's goal with the creation of cybersecurity framework is to help eliminate the utterly fragmented cybersecurity landscape we find ourselves in, and it couldn't matter more at this point in the history of the digital world. Cybersecurity threats continue to increase, and the latest disaster seemingly comes out of nowhere. And the reason why we are constantly caught off guard is simple: that there is no cohesive framework tying the cybersecurity world together.
So now I'm going to talk about how NIST uses Sun Tzu strategy. Sun Tzu was a legendary military strategist of ancient China and also an author of famous book The Art of War. He was a master of soft power and a father of agile warfare. Winning slowly and gradually was his strategy. Maybe this is the reason why his strategies are used in all kind of warfare, one of which is cybersecurity warfare that we are facing nowadays. His famous strategy to know yourself and know your enemy is used in today's cyberspace to protect assets of an organization for people who are constantly trying to breach, to steal or damage them. NIST framework was developed by NIST, that is the backbone of most of the organizations' cybersecurity setup, which is majorly inspired by Sun Tzu strategy. To set up NIST framework, the first step we have to take is to identify the assets of an organization. This way we can prioritize what things we need to protect the most and what things we need to protect the least. Or else, in the terms of art of security, know yourself. Also, to do so, NIST introduced NIST publication 800-30, which is the guideline for asset management. Once that is done, NIST guides us to know what kind of threats we are dealing with and how we can protect what we have. It does by segments such as protect, detect, and response. In a way, it helps us to fill the loopholes in our system. Or else, in terms of art of war, know your enemy.
So now we'll share you some real world example. First is electric grid. The US electrical distribution system is a patchwork of 100 years of upgrades that create basic reliability issues and expose entire regions to unnecessary risk and catastrophic electrical failure. NIST's smart grid efforts are providing the strategic planning needed to modernize and stabilize the national grid. NIST is coordinating the development of a secure and interoperable smart power grid with the establishment of this grid interoperability panel and the publication of the framework and roadmap for smart grid interoperability. NIST is guiding the development of a modernized grid that will synchronize equipment, control, and computers to meet the nation's quickly changing electric demand.
Another example is about dark web. Dark web is a collection of websites that exist on an encrypted network that cannot be found by a user by using any regular search engine. It is a very common place where booties are treated. In knowing our enemy, in this case is the hacker, where do they treat their booty? We definitely get chances to destroy their black market to prevent the cyber attack at the first place. Right now, government authorities and companies have been working on this. However, this stealthy strategy does not work out really good so far, mainly because the people in charge of actually running those markets are extremely well hidden behind the best software, ensuring their anonymity. And also, it would take a large amount of money, time, and resource to investigate a single market, never mind taking down the entire darknet. And also, not all the contents on the darknet are illegal. All these factors make it harder to achieve something by following this concept, but hopefully something will happen.
The third example is healthcare using NIST framework. HIMSS, also known as Health Information and Management System Society, supports the NIST holistic security principles throughout the whole framework. As we know how important the patient's healthcare records are in terms of cybersecurity, how important the assets are, it's important that data never falls into the hands of wrong people or attackers. And this is the reason why HIMSS has been requesting that all healthcare records are secured by software that is empowered by NIST framework.
After talking all those fundamentals, so what can business do to improve their cyber security by using the idea of out of war? So here we recommend the business to firstly be aware of that the out of war is obviously the beginning. Only go from the out of war, the good security can be built. To achieve a cyber situational awareness, we urge the business leaders to ask themselves four things. The first is business mission and goals, which is the most important thing for now and for the future for the organizational success. And then cyber assets. What are the most critical assets and resources, and which of them are within the scope to protect? We refer this as assets identification class as well. The third question is network infrastructures. So what does the network structure look like? Where is my data? What applications are running, and who has accessibility to the critical resources? The last question is cyber threats. So which is what external cyber threats actors are motivated to steal the data within my network? What are the most likely vectors they will use to achieve their objectives? So after these four questions, the companies should be able to identify who means them harm, what do those hackers want, and how will they plan to get it. Nowadays, most of the cyber threats can be categorized into following categories: government-sponsored, organized crime, activistic, insider threats, opportunistic, and internal user error. Last but not least is introduced threat intelligence. TI is any information about threats that an organization can consume and integrate into its defensive decision-making process that results in something actionable, such as a new policy, a new configuration, you name it here. There are three types of TI: strategical, tactical, and operational. All of them have their own focus area. However, usually the IT department is just simply not mature enough to cover all the types. So here we suggest the companies to start with tactical TI. Because this will provide some insights as to how the threat actors are accomplishing their goals, which will in turn help the companies to focus when they selecting their security controls. So here's basically what we have today to present. Thank you for your time listening. We appreciate it.